All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to The Thoughtful Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Jen Amos. And today I have the CEO and owner of Mid-Atlantic Chiropractic Center, Dr. Amir Rashidian. He is also the author of the book, The Stress-Proof Life, The Secret to Health, Wealth, and Happiness. You can learn more about him at his website, midatlanticclinic.com. Amir, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jen. Happy to be here.
Yeah, for sure. I really enjoyed just the little banter we had before we started recording. One thing I always like to ask, or I started to ask because it's the new year, is do you feel any different from 2020?
You know, the way we operate is we always say this is the last month of the year. Because you know, because we check our numbers on a trailing 12 indicator, so it's always the end of the year, because you always push harder when you know you're getting closer to the end of the year, and you want to hit certain numbers and so on. So no, not really. I don't feel very different. I think the year started out with a crazy bang when you look at the socioeconomic political system and everything that's changing. So you know what, you have to make sure that you do what you need to do to make things work, no matter what's going on. Control what you can control. So yeah, I don't feel too different.
Yeah, I love your attitude on just saying this is the last month, of every year. And, rather than kind of looking at the whole year as a whole, but really just looking at the last 12 months, I think it's a great way to stay present and humble and hungry, I think, in your business. And so I really like that philosophy, or kind of that saying that you and your team tell yourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So Amir, your company again is Mid-Atlantic Chiropractic Center. And for people that are hearing about your company for the first time, tell us where you're located and what makes you unique as a chiropractic center.
Well, we have 2 locations in Frederick, Maryland. We're growing by leaps and bounds, regularly hiring and adding to our team members. Our patients get great success. We use high-level technology with analysis from digital X-ray to neurologic scans and so on. Focus is not just get you out of pain, but to help you get stronger and live longer and feel younger. So it always starts out, most of our patients come to us because they're suffering, they're hurting, they need a problem solved. And once we solve that, well, certainly you can be done. But I firmly believe how healthy you are depends on how much stress you can handle. So if we strengthen your ability to tolerate your stress and adapt to that stress, you're going to be a healthier, happier, and ultimately wealthier person. So that's always the next stage. Once you know how to tolerate stress, how to handle stress, and you're able to increase your stress levels, then we move on to longevity. How do we add years to your life? And then lastly, everyone wants to feel younger, right? You want to be like you were in the old days. And I think that's the final stage. So we have this long-term vision for our patients or our clients. And that, I think, is what sets us very different from others.
Yeah. When the average person thinks of a chiropractor, they just think, oh, like cracking my back or cracking my bones, but there's more to that. Right. And so, what should people understand about, going to the chiropractor that maybe, the average person maybe gets wrong?
Jen, it's very simple. When you start out, you need to understand your brain controls what happens in your body. There's a nerve that goes to every cell, every tissue, and every organ in your body. Nothing can happen without brain function. In fact, you're not clinically dead until the brain stops working. The heart can stop, the lungs can stop, the liver can stop, but you're not dead till the brain stops. So the brain function is the most important. Well, the connection between the brain and the body is where chiropractors come in, because every vertebra can affect how those nerves communicate between the body and the brain. Misalignments throughout the spine can interfere with connections with brain and the body. We call that things like subluxation, disafferentation, dyskinesis, dysautonomia. And these are ways where the organs, glands, blood vessels can stop functioning or not function properly. And when you take that pressure off those nerves and allow the body to reach its optimal levels, you can tolerate stress better. Yes, your ailments and illnesses will go away, your pain will go away, but you move up to that next level of function, which is what we focus on.
Yeah, I really like that. That's one, I think the times when I used to go to the chiropractor, and I definitely need to go to the chiropractor again because I have this chronic pain in my hip. But a story for a conversation for another time. But I just remember how often I would go and how it wouldn't just make me feel better physically, but even mentally. Like I just felt like I had a better outlook in life. I just felt, I felt like I had less stress, I think. And so, for you to say that, as a chiropractor, you help the brain and the body like really align and everything. I think it's something that the average person should know about and appreciate when they go to the chiropractor, and not be afraid of let's say getting their bones cracked, because it's actually good for them.
Oh, absolutely. And the side effect of all of that is you're less dependent on medication and less
Mm.
likely to have unnecessary surgery.
Yeah, which we don't want, for sure. So Amir, I think it's quite astounding, that you have been in business for 20 years, as we talked a little bit offline. Let's go back in time. How did you start in business?
So the passion for helping people comes from, I was in a village with my dad when I was little, back in Iran, which is where I was born and raised. I saw a woman go into labor, and there were no hospitals and no doctors nearby. And the
Mm.
midwife said, "I can't help you." And that woman slowly passed away in her husband's arms. And
Oh,
I just
wow.
didn't ever be in that helpless situation ever again. And
Yeah.
years later, I was on the path to becoming a medical doctor, and my father started having serious problems in his neck, to the
Mm.
point where there was pain and shooting down into his arms. He had weakness and numbness in his hands. He couldn't lift his arms. He couldn't dress himself, feed himself. He couldn't work. And they wanted to operate. The operation was going to be pretty significant. They wanted to break and remove the bones in the back of the neck, put rods and screws on the sides, and fuse his whole neck. The surgeons, three different surgeons, said, you'll never turn your head again. You may not regain function of your hands, but we're
Wow.
hoping you'll have less pain. And there's a chance you're going to die. There's like a 20-30% chance you're going to die under this kind of surgery, because he was 70 years old at the time. Well,
Mm.
we got in a taxi to go home after the third neurosurgeon. And the
Mhm.
taxi driver looked at the two of us in his rearview mirror. We're both concerned. Dad's in a lot of pain. He's got his neck brace on. Every bump that taxi hit was sending this lightning bolt of pain through his entire body.
Oh,
The taxi driver said, "Sir, I know you asked me to take you home, and I know you're in a lot of pain, but there's this chiropractor right down the street. Would you rather me take you there?" And
wow.
Dad, I was a 19-year-old know-it-all. I thought I knew everything. There's only two ways to fix things: drugs and surgery. Dad
Mm.
was a little wiser at his age of 70. He said, "Let's try it." And so we pulled up to this chiropractor, and the rest is history. The chiropractor said, "Listen, I can help you. You got to give me about 6 months, but I can help you. Will you
Mhm.
postpone your surgery for 6 months?" We're like, "Sure, let's do it." It was expensive, but it was worth it. And we did it. And 6 months later, my dad walked in that office. He was able to use his hands. He was able to write his own name on the
Mm.
sign-in sheet. Dad lived long enough. He lived to be 88. At 88, he was younger than when he was 70. And
Wow.
he lived long enough to stand next to me as my best man when I got married. He lived
Wow.
long enough to meet my first son when he was born. And that meant the world to me. And I saw that. I said, wow, this chiropractor did that with his hands. By
Yeah.
looking at x-rays and MRIs, he knew how to change the inside, and he didn't have to cut my dad open to do it. I want to do that. And so
Yeah.
that's where we started. This current office that we're in, I said we have two locations. The first one that we started, we borrowed a bunch of money. We mortgaged my mother's house, and took a big chance. And my wife and I went door to door. We would knock on residential doors and introduce
Wow.
ourselves. Hey, I'm a chiropractor. I'm moving to town. We're opening an office down the street from you. Can I
Mm.
give you some information? Can I ask you some questions? I want to get to know the community. And literally, we drew a 1 mile radius from where we were going to be, and we went door to door. We didn't have a marketing budget, but we
Wow.
had that desire, that hunger to make sure we succeed, and pay that mortgage back so my mother won't be homeless. It worked out. And to this day, we do it that way. Our main
Yeah.
marketing technique is public relations. We need to get to know who's in the community and what they need. I'm on
Mhm.
the board of directors at Habitat for Humanity. I'm the chairman of the elder leadership team at our church, Grace Community Church.
Mhm.
And it's all about giving back, all about doing for the community, find out what the need is, and just being there. And then in return, they know that they want to support us as well. So
Mm-hmm.
they want to, if someone has a problem, someone has hurt. I think we're right now already probably the largest practice in our town, just one of the offices, let alone the other one. And like you said, we're planning to open more offices and really get our brand of chiropractic out to more people.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious, do you ever know the name of that taxi driver? Because I imagine you're just forever grateful for that
I
person.
sure am. I don't even remember what he looked like. I kind of remember his eyes in the rearview mirror because I was sitting in the back seat of the taxi. But yeah, I wish
Yeah.
I knew it. Maybe he'll hear this and contact me.
Yeah, he's like, I was that guy. I was that guy. Yeah, Amir, that is a very profound story. Thank you so much for sharing that, and it makes a lot of sense, like why you are in the work that you are today. And yeah, I think even for me, it's like if I don't have to do surgery or drugs, I'm here for it. Next question that I want to ask Amir is, as we mentioned, you've obviously been in business for a long time. I really respect the hustle that you had early on, going door to door and asking people, just getting to know the local community. For the time that you've been in business so far, what do you feel like has been the common feedback or, testimonials that you've received from your clientele?
The most common thing I hear is I had no idea that life could be this good. I had no idea that my body could function this well. I had no idea I could feel young again. I had no
Mm.
idea. I thought I was okay. There are a lot of my patients are people who get dragged in by a spouse or a family member going, you got to come experience this. And they come in, they go, Doc, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm just here because my wife said, I have to come. And so do what you got to do. So we do an evaluation. We show them what's going on in their spine and their body, and we start making some corrections. Next thing you know, they're nicer, they're happier, they're healthier, they're sleeping better, their bowels work better, they're breathing better. Everything changes. So that's the biggest
Mm.
thing I hear from the patient clientele. And as you know, I do some consulting with other doctors and chiropractors as well. And for them, they kind of, their common answer is, I didn't know it could be so much fun to succeed in business, because it should be. See, I firmly believe the number one reason people fail to reach their goals, their dreams, their desires, their biggest passions, the reason they don't get to it is because their bodies are not equipped to handle the stress that they're going to face on the
Mm.
road to that
Mhm.
greatness. You
Mhm.
want to be somebody amazing. So you start on that path, and then
Mhm.
you get hit with some resistance. You get hit with some obstacles, roadblocks, and you
Mhm.
go, it's too much for me. I can't handle it. I'm getting sick. You've heard the phrase burning the candle at both ends.
Mm.
Well, the only reason it feels like you're burning the candle at both ends is because you're not equipped to handle the stress. So my
Yeah.
job is to get your tolerance to stress higher. It's not about reducing the stress. Reducing stress means don't pursue your dream. Don't go after your goal. Don't try to be amazing. Don't try to be great. Settle for less because you don't have what it takes to handle it. Well, everybody has what it takes to handle it. You just
Yeah.
got to accept the stress. When you run from stress, it'll chase you anyways. Don't run from stress. Embrace the stress. Because, when you were in first grade, you were spelling 3-letter words and they were hard for you. Then you were in college, spelling was the easiest subject. Now you're learning quantum physics or whatever else it might be, and so on. And then you get into business, you're learning balance sheets and profit and loss and cash flow projections and all that stuff. And then spelling 3-letter words is a piece of cake. But
Mhm.
one day, what you're dealing with right now is going to become a piece of cake if you choose to grow into that by allowing stress to work in you. It's like the weight trainer, the bodybuilder.
Mhm.
You go to the gym and work out, and a lot of people
Mhm.
who are healthy and fit do that. Well, the weights you're lifting now would have been impossible for you to lift when you started training, but you
Mhm.
pushed yourself, and now you can lift the weights you are. So if you every time you go to the gym, you lift less weight, you're not going to get stronger. You're going to get weaker. This is
Mhm.
the same thing. Take on more stress, just a little bit more each day. Stay hungry, push forward, set big goals, go after those goals, and I think you'll get there. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Yeah. I just love your take on stress because, I think about like my husband, for example, who's kind of like pain or like negative feelings avoidant. And I'm like, no, we got to lean into it. You know, we got to like unpack like why we're feeling this. And like, we need to, you know, like learn the tools to like work through this stuff. And so it sounds very familiar to, you know, what you are encouraging to tolerate and handle stress. So, you know, speaking, being on the topic of stress, Amir, you are an author of the book, The Stress Proof Life, The Secret to Health, Wealth, and Happiness. Tell us a little bit about that book and, you know, the things that you're encouraging right now. Are those also incorporated in your book?
Absolutely. You know, actually, I just wrote another book called Tame Your Stress Monkey, which hopefully will come out someday.
The title of it, though.
Yeah, you know, imagine you've got this monkey that's untrained and it wreaks havoc. It's like having a pet monkey. It can tear the house apart and bite the owner and do all kinds of crazy stuff. The Stress Proof Life, I wrote that because I wanted people to have this like a bulletproof vest. You know, when you put on a bulletproof vest, it's not going to keep you from getting shot. You can still get shot. The bullet will still hit you and it'll still hurt. But guess what? It won't kill you. If you put on this stress-proof vest, which is what you'll learn from the book, you can tolerate stress and grow into that stress. And like I said, it determines how healthy you are. The more your tolerance to stress, the less likely it is you'll get sick. Because if you're weak, the wind blows, the weather gets cold, you catch a cold. But if you have high stress tolerance, and we measure that in our office using technology, then a lot of stress. Think about college students. They take final exams. The next day they have a sinus infection because they were sick, because they pulled three all-nighters in a row and their body wasn't equipped for that. But you look at Marines, you look at the Navy SEALs, they'll sleep 10 minutes and they'll function at a high level for 48 hours without any other sleep. Incredible what they can do, but they've trained for that. I believe through learning what's in that book, The Stress Proof Life, we call it the simple seven simple things you can be doing on a daily basis to increase your ability to handle stress, on top of visiting your chiropractor, getting your nervous system optimized on a regular basis. I believe you can handle any amount of stress that'll come your way on that road to going after your dreams.
Yeah, Amir, you make stress sound really cool. So thank you. I really love your take on it. You know, we were talking a little bit offline more as well about just some advice, you know, you want to share to small business owners and entrepreneurs. I think one of the things that stood out to me in our conversation is, you know, our climate right now, how there's a lot of fear and doubt and worry. But for entrepreneurs, you're encouraging them though, to not wait to be an entrepreneur. You know, we talked about how some people are kind of waiting for maybe the perfect moment. So talk on that. Like, what do you want to tell people who are kind of like, you know what, I'm just going to wait till things sort of get normal again?
You know, historically, the businesses that got started during a tough economic time are the businesses that do great and can withstand other storms. So a business is like an extension of you. In fact, being an entrepreneur is your best way of self-expression. Express yourself through a business. And what's beautiful about it is you can build something that'll outlast you. So when I'm gone, when I leave the planet, when I die, hopefully this will live on and continue to serve and do great things. That's the vision. But if you wait, you may just keep waiting and you'll never start. You got to get started. When the shutdown happened and our patients started calling us saying, I can't come in because I want to stay home because I'm afraid of getting the virus. I'm afraid of getting sick. And so our numbers dipped suddenly. In a month, we dropped by 25, 30%. I pulled my team into the room and I said, listen, guys, I'm going to pretend that it's never going to get any better. I'm going to pretend that this is the world we're going to live in for the rest of our lives. How can we make it happen? How can we make it work? How can we stay positive? How can we stay excited? You know, I remember when I lived in Iran, there was a war. The war started when I was 7 years old. And Saddam Hussein's armies would fly over and you would hear in the middle of the night, the radio would blare this air raid siren and you had to run into a bomb shelter or into the basement of the building, wherever you were, you had to hide. And you'd hear the roar of the jet plane and then you'd hear the whistle of the bomb. And this whistle is getting louder and louder as the bomb is getting closer and closer, but you can't tell where it is. It could be right over your head. It could be a block away. All you know is the bomb just got dropped and there's going to be an explosion and you're just praying you don't die. And I'd be terrified and I'd be scared. I'm hearing this whistle and I'm with these people in the basement of this building. I look at my dad. He's calm. He looks at me. He winks at me. He smiles at me. He goes, "You're good. It's all right." That's leadership. That's leadership. And I'm okay with that. And I go, if he's not worried, I'm not worried. Well, as the entrepreneur, you're going to need a team. Your team is going to look at you. You are on stage every minute of every day. They are looking at you. You have got to bring calm certainty to everything that you do, from tough decisions to risky decisions to whatever it is. When you're leading them, you have got to show that confidence, that calm certainty, that attitude that we got this. It's going to be fine. Yeah, everything's shutting down. Yeah, we may, lose half our patients or whatever it might be. If that's the case, how do we make it work? And at one by one, I saw people start to give ideas and start to contribute. Next thing you know, our business starts to go back up, and we actually beat our last year's numbers this year through a global pandemic. Wow. We opened a new location in the middle of it. That location is thriving. Everything's profitable. We didn't lose it. In fact, we hired 2 more people instead of losing our employees. It's been great. And it's because of our attitude.
Yeah, I mean, just what you said earlier, I'm going to pretend things aren't going to get any better. So what are we going to do about it? And I think that's an attitude we all need to have right now. It's like, what are we going to do about it? How are we going to live through this situation? And Amir, I could tell that you are very inspirational and probably a joy to work with. I'm sure that your team absolutely looks up to you and your calm demeanor. I'm sure you get that from your dad. Sounds like your dad was a very positive influence in your life. I wish we can keep going, but obviously good things eventually have to come to an end here. But I do want to make sure I've covered all my bases. Is there anything else you want our listeners to know about your company, Mid-Atlantic Chiropractic Center, or just about you as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, of course. There's so many things. The only thing I want you to do is, I'll share. I have another website, drrashidian.com. Look for the new book coming out. But here's the thing. Understand that you don't have to choose between health and success. Because most entrepreneurs go, okay, I'm working really hard. In fact, I hear this even from my family, from people who care about me. They go, why do you work so hard? Why are you burning the candle at both ends? Isn't it going to make you sick? I go, you don't have to do that. You can choose to be healthy and wealthy. Do not, because I firmly believe a lot of people say, oh, what use is a lot of wealth if it's at the expense of your health? Well, yeah, I agree with that. But what use is your health if it comes at the expense of your goals and dreams in your future? If you're super healthy, but you live on the couch in the basement of somebody else's house and you have nothing and you can't provide for your family, then that health is worthless. Health is worthless without wealth. And wealth is worthless without health. So go for both and believe and understand it is absolutely possible for you to have all of it. You don't have to sacrifice.
Amir, that was so tweet worthy. I took notes. Oh, it's funny because I literally just had a conversation about that, like kind of trading one for the other. And I just love your encouragement to say you can have both and you should have both. And this is why. So, wow, Amir, I have pleasantly enjoyed our conversation today. Again, thank you so much for being here at The Thoughtful Entrepreneur.
My pleasure.
Yeah. And again, to our listeners, this is Dr. Amir Rashidian. You can learn more he is the CEO and owner of the company Mid-Atlantic Chiropractic Center in Maryland. And also he is the author of the book, The Stress-Proof Life, The Secret to Health, Wealth, and Happiness. And of course, if you want to check out his other book, go to drrashidian.com. And yeah, I think with that said, one more thing, website. You can visit his company website at midatlanticclinic.com. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll chat with you in the next episode. Tune in next time.